So to reflect upon my mixed up concert experience overall, this year I think the event was met with a lot of success, and a lot of that has to do with how collaborative we were as a group, and also I think just the way we planned and kind of went about this concert this year was just very effective. So to kind of detail how this went, and kind of framing it around the 5 stages of CAS, as the main student coordinator or leader of the group, I guess, this year I definitely developed a lot of my management skills through this whole experience. A lot of that was because of the organization I tried to maintain throughout this experience, and one helpful way, which was something I also did last year, was to have this huge master document of every single meeting, the agenda of every single meeting, all the notes, every piece of information that we collect. It all goes into one document, and that's extremely helpful for an event of such a scale and kind of this type of service project where it's kind of a one-off for focusing on one day, but it has a lot of preparation that needs to be done in advance. This year I think the timing was also good in general because I tried to convene the group of students at around, I'd say, October, and the year before that I started in January, so it was way too rushed and the timing wasn't good. But this year I started earlier on, and we got people who were genuinely interested and people who were committed, but not people who would lose interest as well. My strategy in effectively managing the group included everyone kind of going into different working groups. Of course, that's a very common strategy, but I think it helped a lot in terms of investigation because it got people to participate in and join in on things that they really were interested in or areas of talent. So, for example, we had a PR group, and Am, who's my twin, he's very good at graphics and he enjoys that type of artsy stuff, so that really suited him. On the other hand, my friend Fuko, she also loves artsy stuff, but she loves more practical artsy stuff, so she joined the set design group, which makes sense. Either way, everyone was a part of something that they either wanted to learn more in or that they were really good at. And I think that really shapes around the model of what the investigation stage should be. So the way that the groupings were done were that there would be 3 types of groups that I kind of tried to think of myself based on my experience from last year, and I also got some feedback from my peers who were part of the group last year. So there were core groups, which were kind of the main working groups everyone would focus on. So this would be PR, food, set design, the stage, so music and technical stuff, and also just media management. And other than that, we would have year-long groups, so things that would be more long-term and would have to be done throughout the whole of the event and kind of more consistent things. So things like social media, working on the website, being in contact with the music department and others. And then we also had month-based jobs, which were kind of shorter term. So things like making t-shirts, or helping with bands, or doing lights, or managing logistics. So I tried to organize it that way. It got a little bit complicated at some parts because it was a bit too much for people to focus on, but I think I'll remodel this also next year. But this general system of getting people to know where their focus is, I think, very effective. In terms of investigation with regards to the service of the event itself, we also did a lot of that. Basically, based on the history of Mixed Up, it's rather difficult to kind of try to demonstrate. I mean, it's very easy to slip out of the cause of Mixed Up, which is kind of an environmental cause, because this event, which is a band concert showcase, is a little bit disconnected, but was connected to a certain cause by a student a couple of years ago. So it's very important to kind of maintain that link and to also ensure that the members in the group know that this is for a certain cause and to investigate and to understand that cause. So once I convened the group and once everyone allocated themselves into all the different working groups, there were a couple of sessions where we kind of just sat there and did our research. And this year we had a lot better contact with Love Wildlife Foundation, who is our beneficiary, and we really asked them what they really wanted us to help them with. And as with the previous years, it's been the Slow Lures project. Once we identified what project it was, we basically delved all into it, and I made another document that was like a research document, and we just started populating this document with all the information research we could do based on slow lorises and the cause itself. And not only did this really encourage the individual students to engage with the cause and to really understand it by doing the research for themselves, it also served as a very helpful reference tool later on when we were trying to incorporate different parts of the cause into the event to make it a more meaningful event. In terms of preparation, I spoke a bit about this before already, but this happened across a very long term. I mean, especially because of something of this scale, there was a lot of preparation to do. So again, the students kind of separated into all their different groups and then just did the work according to that. At the start of the year, I also made sure that everyone made a calendar that kind of showed the timeline of everything that they needed to do, and they made like a huge to-do list. That was one strategy I chose to do to let everyone kind of manage their own groups. And naturally, we had different leaders kind of arise in different groups, but overall, everyone just worked really well together in their smaller groups too. I will say that obviously not that many people followed on with the calendars that they made at the start of the year, which is understandable because it's always unpredictable as to how timing and the event will play out, but at least they kind of went through that process of understanding the scale of what they had to do. I can talk more about specifics about what each group did, but I think that would be a little bit redundant. But I guess just to recap, PR had to do a lot of things throughout the year where they had to prep graphics and just really help with pushing out information, though this did fall a lot into the lap of whoever was managing the social media. So they had to work in conjunction, but they were kind of in charge of our branding and also just, again, putting out the information and making it visually appealing, and also thinking creatively and making it fun and meaningful at the same time. Food obviously had to work throughout the year to contact different food vendors, and a lot of this kind of piled down towards the couple of months leading up to the event. But they had to kind of think about branching out and networking and doing all sorts of stuff to get the food vendors we wanted as well. Set design kind of had to think a lot about what the physical setup would be in terms of the aesthetic appeal, I guess. And again, they didn't work too much on that until the event, the months leading up, but they also did a lot about logistics and planning out the format of the event. As for stage, they kind of eventually went into sound and music as well, so they helped a lot with the managerial music stuff, and they also ended up helping a lot with band admissions, which was initially a month-based job, but it kind of made sense to kind of fit them in with that role. And media management was kind of similar to branding, so the jobs kind of merged. And there was also another aspect of networking, which ended up being a responsibility of just a couple of students who had connections, because networking with different beneficiaries or people who could give us prizes, for instance, kind of just becomes a one-man job at one point. In terms of action, that really kind of takes place, again, there's a lot of overlap because it is an event, but it really kind of took place on the day. And again, we allocated different jobs specific to the day. So you kind of don't really know what those jobs are until you're there at 2:30 on the oval and trying to figure out what to do. We kind of just got to it, and I think a very big part of my responsibility is that even though I don't necessarily have to be doing every single thing, it's very important to have that bird's eye view perspective of everything that's going on, to be able to delegate and to manage everything effectively, because when it's an event of this scale, it's so easy for so many things to slip out of hand. And I really learned this when I had to realize that I started to take a bit too much on myself, and considering how busy I am as a person who's committed to a lot of different things, it was really difficult. And it was hard to find other people in the group to kind of support me, not because they didn't want to, but I think because I kind of felt like it was my responsibility, and I also didn't necessarily ask people before, so it was really hard for them to kind of intervene and help me in the middle of the whole project. So this would be things like helping to bring together a group of inter-school student representatives, or contacting Love Wildlife, or being in contact with a lot of the music technicians and the staff and the really great people we worked with. I think there were many parts in the process that could have gone a lot smoother as well.
Why does one end letters with kisses when kisses